I went from having a salary to a draw that was much smaller than my salary. And it's eat what you kill, and definitely had to go out there and start closing deals. Everyone who gets into commercial real estate is like, I want to close the big deals here and there.
You got a lot of the experience that when I was in the MBA program, they told me go into brokerage first before development. I think exactly for the reason that you got all this experience, exposure to deals, like understanding what good marketing materials look like, what good underwriting looks like. And so you got to see probably hundreds or maybe even like more like thousands of deals potentially.
Yep.
And so you got all of that exposure before you even started going out and starting to work with clients. And you also mentioned something that I've heard a lot about because I never worked in a traditional brokerage or like the old school brokerages, right? And you mentioned having a draw. And so can you explain what a draw is, what a desk fee is? Like how do those actual like structural compensation things work?
Yeah. So when I finally did graduate to becoming a broker in the office, they offered me a very small draw. By the way, I was able to negotiate that because by the end of the year, when I was supposed to get off the draw, I said, hey guys, I want to renegotiate the terms. I don't want to pay it back. And actually, they agreed. So for those young agents out there, don't just accept what they take you. They actually liked that I negotiated because it showed that I would be a good agent as well. So they gave me a very small draw, and it was not an easy time. I'm not going to lie. That first year was so rough.
And so a draw is they pay you and then usually you have to pay that back.
Usually you have to pay it back out of the commissions that you receive.
So it's like a loan from the company.
Yes, it is a loan from the company.
And they do that because you don't get a salary.
Correct. So I went from having a salary to a draw that was much smaller than my salary. And it's eat what you kill, and definitely had to go out there and start closing deals. Now, granted, they did pair me up with an amazing mentor who had a lot of listings that she brought me onto, of which was mostly leasing. And hey, don't put leasing down. Everyone who gets into commercial real estate is like, I want to close the big deals here and there. I've made a wonderful career mostly out of leasing. And what's great about it is you obviously get paid on leases. And as a new agent, you get paid half when the lease is signed, usually half when they open for business. Well, guess what? That creates 2 months of income for me. So you close 6 deals in a year, that's 12 months of income, realistically. Definitely the structure there, it's motivating, right? They don't give you enough to live on because they want you to be motivated to close deals. But then also when you're bringing in those commissions in, not only are you paying a team split, you're also paying the house split. And by the time you get your portion, it's much less, definitely less than 50% of what you brought into the company.
And then you've also told me about desk fees before, which we don't have at EXP. And
Correct.
So what are desk fees?
So desk fees is your minimum you have to bring into the company to stay at the company. And of course, they give a little bit of leniency on your first year or two, but you're expected to hit that pretty early on in the year. And then, of course, there's benefits to doing more than that, better splits, things like that. But you have to bring in a certain amount to stay at the company and keep your desk in the office. And by the time I left, I had a really nice, cushy corner office with a window. But you have to bring in quite a bit, and there's a lot of pressure to keep that coming in at the same level and consistency so that you can keep your fancy office.
That creates all kinds of different incentives. And me being from the developer side and you making the transition to the developer side, how do you think that influences the incentives for the broker? And was that one of the reasons maybe that you started to make the switch?
I think I wasn't truly looking for an opportunity when I decided to make this switch. In fact, I always say the hardest breakup of my life was breaking up with my mentor there and leaving. That was probably the hardest conversation I've ever had because I admired her so much and she had given me everything that I had known to date. But I think I have an entrepreneurial spirit, and I always knew I wanted to not be so stuck in one lane. So I had the opportunity to go to the development side. I was recruited by a company based out of South Florida, but they were I'm Tampa based, born and raised. But I had an opportunity to work on a really large mixed use project in Tampa. And it goes back to what I said earlier. I was only allowed to do landlord rep, retail leasing, land sales for sellers for retail development. And there's so much more out there. I knew I wanted to learn more. I'm always eager to learn. And I had a great pathway there at Colliers to continue going forward and become a senior agent in my specialty there. And I absolutely believe in specializing, but it doesn't mean that's the only thing you need to do. And so that development opportunity opened my world. It was truly the best career change I've ever made in my life and brought me to where I am today.